we've just profiled 4 of the most popular image loading libraries used for Android. And which one would I choose? Welcome to Mobile Application Tutorials. My name's Nigel. Okay, so which one would I choose for the Android recyclerview grid gallery? Okay, now keeping in mind this grid gallery is going to be scrolling up and down at least 100 full-size images, so those images do need to be sampled and scaled and everything. So I've made a number of criterias here, and from those criterias, the one that sort of ends up towards the top of the criterias is going to be my winner, or my library that I would choose for this application. So the first criteria is setup. By setup, I don't mean installation. Installation was the same for all the libraries. With installation, it's just a matter of just adding a Gradle dependency to your Gradle scripts if you're using Android Studio. So what I mean by setup is the configuration and initialization in addition to actually calling the API itself. So we had glide finished at the top. All we had to do was call the API itself with just the file and the image view. And it will do everything else, as well as working out the image width, height and width dimensions. Next slide, Picasso was pretty close as well. You just had to call the API, but you did have to pass in an additional field, which was the width and the height of the images, or else it would just try and load the full-size image itself. So Picasso was very close to glide. It's just a slight bit more code. Now with the universal image loader, I did have to create what we call an application derived class, and inside there I had to add a number of lines of code just to do the setup and initialization. So it's significantly more work than Picasso and Glide, purely because you have to create a new derived class and do the initialization inside there, as well as doing the API call when you want to do the loading. And at the bottom we've got Fresco. Fresco, you also have to do a little bit of initialization in an application derived class, but you also needed to create your own view as well prior to actually calling the API. And so I felt with that extra level of work involved, Fresco in this case finishes bottom just for the setup. Moving across to the memory consumption, Glide finished top. Glide consumed less memory compared to the other image loading libraries. So Glide started off consuming the least images, and when you scrolled up and down, its maximum consumption as well was minimal compared to all the others. And that's followed number 2 by the universal image loader and Picasso. They basically consumed a similar amount of memory with each other. And Fresco consumed significantly more than the other image loading libraries. So I put Fresco at the bottom now, which was a little bit surprising, but yeah, from this particular testing on my application, yeah, Fresco finished bottom. Now we move to the GPU rendering. That's the rendering tool we run on the device itself. So basically we're just looking for frames that take more than 16 milliseconds to render, which can result in an application stuttering as such. And so Universal Image Loader, basically, I don't believe we saw many frames at all go past that 16 millisecond line. Picasso, there might have been 1 or 2, but nothing significant that you would see in the application itself. Glide had a little bit grouped together in several places, but again, nothing too severe, but so it did have a number of frames, more frames than Picasso or the Universal Image Loader library. And Fresco at the bottom, in several places we just saw the frames just completely off the screen. So there were groups of frames that completely a significant delay that you would really see resulting from application stutter there. So that was quite interesting to note as well. Okay, now to observed issues. By observed issues, I mean unexpected behavior, things that I saw there. So both Picasso and Fresco, I didn't actually see any issues itself. Both ran fine. With Glide, for the first time, I did see a little bit of partial overlapping where one image would show on top of another image in the image view. So that was quite strange. I'd never seen that behavior before. That might have been fixed. All these applications are maintained by the developers, so maybe it's fixed now, but that's just something I saw at this moment in time. So yeah, that was a bit of a surprise. And the Universal Image Loader library, I saw concurrency, and I had seen concurrency before where you've got the wrong bitmap being loaded into wrong image view, and then it tends to fix itself, so you sort of see images changing in their positions a bit. And performance, when I was running the trace view, I did see an application not responding dialog as well, and I didn't see that with any of the other applications as well, so I had to note that as well. So just to note, Picasso, Fresco, no images there. Okay, the winner. Which one would I choose? Okay, there was a clear choice for me. It was Picasso. Picasso had no issues. It was quite easy to install. It just needed an extra field compared to Glide, but compared to the other image loading libraries, minimal configuration needed to set up, and it showed at the top of all my tests without any major issues as well. And so Picasso is a relatively mature library. It's quite easy to install. So for my particular case, where I'm using a recyclerview grid gallery and I'm loading hundreds of images, full-size images, the Picasso seems to be a solid performer. So if I was going forward to using a Android third-party image loading library for this moment in time, Picasso would be my choice. But please keep in mind, these libraries are maintained by the developers, so any observations or issues I've found now could be fixed now or in the near future. So that's one thing to note. And another thing to note, if you are writing an application, you want to know which image loading library to do, you got to test it yourself. You've got to see which one best fits yourself. But you can note my observations and see if they align with what you see as well. So never take anyone's word for testing it and saying, well, this is better than another one. You've got to actually try these tests on your application yourself. And I've given you a certain guideline that you can follow if you want to. Okay, just one more point. I've just noticed another YouTube presenter who does reviews and tutorials just up here, and he also reviewed the Picasso image loading library, and he didn't seem to think too much of it. So yeah, it's I don't know if this guy doesn't like reading or doesn't like reading all the documentation, but obviously he didn't see with Picasso it's best to sort of set your image width and height, and he completely bypassed that and just sort of said, oh, Picasso is not very quick. So obviously this guy doesn't really know what he's talking about. Anyway, this video's up there and there's a link that you can click on to that as well. Okay, that concludes the Android profiling tests on Android image loading libraries. Yeah, that's the end of this one. So if you enjoy my tutorials, don't forget to click that subscribe button just down below. And if you want to follow me on any of the social media accounts, you can see that I'm surrounded by Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and Pinterest. And directly above me as well is my website. So if you wanted to know where I got this material from, it's generated from my website. So you can just click on that link above and that will take you to the main website. And there'll also be direct links in the description and in pop-up boxes on the tutorial as well. So that's all for this one. Bye for now.